If you're thinking about reselling full time, today I'm going to share 3 things that you need to kind of put in your mind before you make that transition. If that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. Hi everyone, it's Stephanie with 3 Queens Resell, and if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for joining me. And if you're a reseller bestie and you're returning, thank you so much. I love you. It is great to be building a community full of people who are positive and who are interested in sustainable fashion and reselling. So that's what this channel is all about. So if you are interested in those topics, be sure to hit the subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you can be notified when I upload content. I am working on building my channel, so I would appreciate you subscribing if that is something you're interested in. And as always, if there's something that resonates with you, hit that like button. And if there's something you have a question about or agree with or want to voice your opinion about, make sure you leave me a comment. I do like reading the comments and responding. I do appreciate all the feedback. It just helps me grow as a content creator and gives me different perspectives to look at. So with that said, today's video, I'm going to be sharing 3 things that I think every person needs to think about before they consider going full-time as a reseller. So previous to becoming a full-time reseller, I was a full-time middle school teacher, I'm going to say educator, for 23 years. My most recent job was in the classroom as an 8th grade teacher. So, but I have done many other jobs within the school. So it was quite a jump when I decided that in June of last year that I was going to quit teaching and resell full time. And there is a video forthcoming as to why I quit teaching. That's a whole nother story for a different day. But I do want to talk about the things that I had to think about before I decided to make the transition. And this was not a transition that came lightly. I had actually been thinking about it for close to 2 years. And I had looked at other videos like this, but they were not necessarily from people who had a established professional job like I did. I feel like, and no shade, no tea. I'm not coming for anybody's like career, but the fact of the matter is that I had a professional level job. I had a master's degree, and so I was being compensated as such. So it is a lot harder to walk away from a 23-year-old career that, I had done continuing ed for and all of that to, than it would be for a kid coming out of college who hadn't had any work experience who's reselling full time. So my video is kind of from the perspective of someone who might be in my position where I had an established career, a 401k. I was used to making a certain amount of money before I made that transition. These are some things that as I'm making that, I would like for other people, or I think other people might want to consider. So the first thing is, of course, why? Why are you wanting to change? For me, being in the public school education realm was just not bringing me any joy. My money was decent. I could teach 8th grade language arts for the rest of my life with very little mental effort. It took more effort to deal with parents than it actually did with kids, and that's why I left. It was not making me happy. In fact, it was making me sick, like physically ill to think about going to work. It sparked anxiety in me. To even open emails because I'm like, who's going to have a racially motivated, profanity-laden email today? Whose parent is going to jump off today? So I was always on the defensive, having to explain myself, and it was seeping into my personal life with my own children and my husband, and it just wasn't bringing me joy. So why I switched is because I wanted a career that I could control my destiny. I could control how much money, to some extent, I made, how much time I put into it. I wanted a career that I had 100% control over, and really, um, entrepreneurship was the only way to go. And since I was already reselling part time, I saw the potential of going full time. So that is my why. I wanted flexibility. I wanted to own my own time. I wanted to be able to create a work environment in which I felt satisfied, productive, positive, and that's what I did. That's why I left. That's my why. So you need to identify what your why is, because this is not for the faint of heart. Working for yourself is not for the faint of heart, as I'm sure everybody knows. But there's some definite things that I miss as a teacher. For instance, from time to time, we did get a bonus. Twice a year for different test scores or things. So that was one thing. Um, Health insurance. I now pay for health insurance out of our own family budget. It's not subsidized in any way, which, as I've shared on this channel, I'm a type 2 diabetic. I'm insulin dependent. Insulin is extremely expensive. So that is what kept me in the classroom for so long, is because I need to purchase life-saving medication. And now I'm doing that out of pocket. We do have marketplace insurance, but it is not as good as the insurance that I had when I was working. So you also have to think about getting sick, or paid time off, or taking vacation. When you work for yourself, all those things are gone. If I don't work and sell clothes, we don't have money. So we don't have income. So every day I have to get up and grind and list and ship and all of those things, even when we're on vacation. Whereas before, when I was a teacher, when I was on vacation, I could think about school, or I didn't have to. Now I think about, I'm like accepting offers, counter offering, sending, uh, arranging who's going to ship out the packages. All of those things have to be considered, to the point when I mentioned taking a trip in a couple of weeks to see my aunt. My husband is not going to go because he's like, we can't be gone because we need someone to do our shipping. So we don't get to travel. We won't. That's going to affect how we travel together as a family. So those are all things that you need to kind of consider in your why. The next thing, the second point I'd like you to remember, is your personal finances. They're called personal for a reason, because they're yours. And everybody's situation is different. One thing I never try to do is count anyone else's coins. I don't know what it takes to run your house. I don't know what outside sources you have for income. And that's the same with me. People don't know. They see that I'm doing this full time now, and they're like wondering how I'm making it work. And I'll tell you how I'm making it work. My father passed away in June, right at the time he was actually, my last conversation with him was about quitting teaching and doing this full time. And he had said that he would supplement my family if we needed that during this time. So right off the bat, I knew that I had that type of financial support. I had my dad as a backup. Well, he unfortunately passed away the next day, and I still quit my job. So, of course, there are some financial resources that he had left for me, my sister, and I. And so I have that nest egg. It's not a huge nest egg. It wouldn't sustain me forever. We have to, and I really try not to even, like, I forget about that it's there. But if things were, I have a backup for if I needed to access money. So you need to think about your personal finances. Like, how much money does it actually take to run your household, down to trips to get Starbucks. Like, how much money do you need to make all your bills, to pay your health insurance, um, and what are your sources of income going to be? So while I am doing this full time, and I have that money like over there that I could access, I have decided to do another job. I am a home based caseworker, and I talk about that. I work about 10 to 20 hours a week on top of doing my resale things. So I am actually working a lot more than when I worked as a teacher, but I own my time. So if I want to work for 18 hours on a Saturday and, 18 hours on a Sunday and take Monday off, whatever, I can make it work however I want to do it. Um, but I do have to consider like those income things. Um, so make sure before you um, decide, oh, I'm going full time, that you know how much money, how much income your family has to bring in. I do have a college age kid. Um, she does not work, so she needs money. So, and to be honest, we have all kind of had to cut back, because we have a kid in college, and it's our choice for her not to work. I don't want her to work. I want her to focus on um, being 19 and going to class and making the best grades that she can. So, because that is my expectation of her, I feel like I have to give her some type of allowance so she doesn't feel like she needs to go do DoorDash or anything like that, and she can study instead. So all of those things go into account, as well as savings. Now, I did have a savings. I do have a savings, but it was not the type of savings that would have afforded me going full time. So I like to keep about 2 months worth of expenses saved. I know like the recommendation is like 6 months, but let's be real, I never made that much money that I could get save that type of money. So I'm very fortunate that my dad was able to provide um, some resources for me, that if I needed to access them, something catastrophic happened and I couldn't work, that I would be able to access that money. So, and I keep referring to that because that is a mental safety guard that I needed to do this. Like when my dad said, if he was living, that, hey, look, you try it for a year, try it for 2 years, see if you can make a go for of it. I got you. I he said that as when he was living, and so um, it just motivated me, like that I have someone that believes in me like this, that he's going to support me, and if you don't have that, you might um, think about how you can get something like that for yourself. Whether that means saving that 6 months worth of savings, like how much of a safety net do you have? I guess is what you need to think. So, in my mental realm, the fact that I have that safety net, it allows me not to work in a level in which I'm like constantly anxious and worried about money, where I can just try new things and experiment with new things. And as long as I am aware of our monthly budget and I stay within that monthly budget, um, and save that other money for like a catastrophe or a rainy day, then I'm going to be able be good and be able to pursue this. Um, and along with personal finances, I mentioned rainy day. Your day to day finances and income and budget and all that is different than a rainy day fund. So in reselling, I knew that the summer slowdown was going to come. I've been reselling part time this is going on 3 years, so I've had 2 summers of summer slowdown, and so um, I know that, okay, hopefully my income, I'm trying to live within that. But if something happened, for instance, I needed to have a major car repair or the furnace went out or something, that other money is there if I am not making enough to pay that, or I don't have enough in savings to cover that. So a rainy day fund is not the same as your actual income. You need to have that kind of over there off to the side so that if it starts to rain and your roof has a hole in it, you can fix it. Um, or whatever, you need to have an emergency surgery and you need to pay your insurance deductible. Like you can handle that. So the next thing, the third thing that I think everybody should honestly do some self-evaluation on is your work ethic. Um, I was a middle school teacher, and that the caseload um, for that was beyond. There was always work to do. You were not ever, ever, ever caught up between grading, preparing, planning, you know, reviewing, it is a never ending job. It was a rat, what is it, a hamster cage, like wheel thing, never ending job. So I consider myself a hard worker. In fact, I consider that one of my better qualities is that I have a good work ethic, and if I see a job needs to be done, I will do it. I am not a lazy person. Um, and I don't like to put things off. I like to just like make a list, cross things off. I'm a taskmaster. I'm a worker bee, and I think those are my strong suits. So I think reselling, I'm perfect for reselling because, and perfect for working for myself because I'm a self starter. I'm motivated. I can make lists. Um, yes, there are those mornings that I look outside and I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to." Or there's those days where I just want to go sourcing and not list, but I have benchmarks for each day, and and I'm not saying that I'm perfect 100% of the time, but I don't go days without listing. When I hear that people are full-time resellers and they only list 60 things a month, I'm like, how can you do that? Like how I mean, unless those things are like selling for $200 a piece, like how can you I don't like, it is personal finance, but just adding up, I don't understand like where your income is coming from. Um, Granted, like I said, I have two children, I have a husband, we have a house, I have a college age child. I need to make money. I have to hustle to make bills, to pay my bills. Um, and my part of our income, I made over $70,000 as a teacher. Um, on top of reselling. Like I was reselling also. So I really feel like I need to work hard and hustle to create even a portion of that um, in this. And so that's why I took on the home based casework job, is because I wanted to have a set amount of money that I knew was coming in every month, that I could budget out of, and then while we build this reselling business. So if you are not a self starter, if you're not willing to work as hard as you've ever worked, if you don't have good follow through skills, um, those are things to consider. Some of us need a boss, period. We need a person to tell us what to do. That's okay if you are that type of person. Um, it, I'm just saying this might not be for you, because there's no one that is going to tell you, okay, Stephanie, stop shopping and list some of this crap that you bought or steam some of this crap. And I do work with my husband, so us working together, we can, we kind of keep each other on track, because if he doesn't have anything to photograph, that's because I haven't done the haul video for this stuff, or I haven't sourced the stuff, or I haven't watched the stuff. So we have a little chain of command, I guess, a little processing chain that relies on the other person just doing their job. So for instance, if he doesn't take photographs, then we have a lister now. The lister cannot create the listings, and then I don't have anything to push out to Poshmark and our platforms. So if you are not a self-starter, self-motivated, planner type person, I'm not saying that you couldn't do it. Be reselling full-time, you couldn't do it. It just, I feel like those are necessary skills that you need, and you need to be honest with yourself. Set yourself up for success so that you don't go all in and think, this isn't fun anymore. And that was something I was worried about. Reselling, sourcing, and thrifting was my hobby. That's what I did for fun. And then I took what I did for fun and made it my full time job. And now it's like, but it's still fun to me. So if it gets to the point where I'm too stressed out about it, or if I'm not successful with it, I have options just like everybody else in the world. But I feel like you have to set yourself up for success and understand your strengths and your weaknesses if you're going to resell full time. So those are just my ideas. Let me know what you think is important for people who are interested in reselling full time. What advice would you give them? Leave that in the comments down below. And I thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.